Now, I've been having technical issues for a few minutes, so I'm not even sure if I'm currently live or if you can see what is going on my screen, but I'm just going to continue regardless. Now, there was a coup in Benin Republic today. There has been conflicting information from the coup plotters. We don't know if they are revolutionaries, so I'm just going to call them coup plotters. And the government, the Minister of Interior of Benin Republic, the coup plotters claimed that they were successful. And then the Minister of Interior came back and said they were unsuccessful and they had been chased away. And then we finally got some information from ECOWAS. ECOWAS claimed that they had to intervene according to their ECOWAS principles and protocols to go into Benin Republic and conduct airstrikes. And ECOWAS is currently led by Tinubu, the president of Nigeria. Now, as you can see from the tweet on the screen, the French president, Emmanuel Macron, yesterday, or rather, was that today? It's December 7th, he put out this tweet saying that he spoke to Tinubu and he conveyed France's solidarity with the security challenges, particularly the terrorist threats in the north. Well, the terrorism is all across the country, it's not only in the north. And at his request, according to Macron, at Tinubu's request, they are trying to strengthen their partnership with the authorities to support the affected populations. We call on all partners to step up their engagement. No one can remain a spectator. So Macron here is feeling like a helper from Europe that is coming to save an African country from terrorism. But at the same time, after the military coup took place in Benin Republic, we heard that, not just heard, with evidences, that there were French aircrafts flying across Benin Republic, and these aircrafts were performing reconnaissance and patrol, and they ended up guiding Nigerian aircrafts that crossed the border from Benin Republic, from Nigeria into Benin Republic, and they conducted airstrikes. They actually dropped bombs on the coup plotters while they were leaving to ensure that they did not regroup. Now, the first point is, do the people of Benin support a coup in their country? Because we can clearly see that in West Africa, the only truly independent regions are Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And they became independent after each one of those countries staged military coups, but those coups ended up being revolutions. They were not just regular military coups where soldiers try to take over power for their selfish reasons, for their selfish interests and their greed. That wasn't the reason why those guys took over in in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. As we can clearly see, after those guys took over in those countries, staged a revolution led by General Chiani of Niger, Goita of Mali, and Captain Traore of Burkina Faso. We can see the growth and development in those countries. They were finally able to break the chains of neo colonization that was attached from France to those three countries. You know, after the independence in the early 60s that most West African countries experienced, a lot of these African countries ended up continuing on the path of neo colonization. And it was easy for the neo colonization to thrive because these African countries have always had leaders that were imposed on them by Western countries, especially in this case, right? Same thing is happening in non-francophone African countries. I'm talking about the Anglophones, including Nigeria. They have Western countries forcing their hands whenever it is time to select leadership. And that's why the African leaders are always collaborating with the imperialists to maintain the dynamics, the relationship. And what is the relationship? The relationship is such that the African countries and people remain perpetually poor, uneducated, underdeveloped, right? Meanwhile, the elites, the government officials in these African countries have access to all the amenities, to education, to the best medical care available in the world. They simply travel abroad because in their countries they don't have the medical institutions. They refused to build the medical institutions, so they simply run to Europe and to America and to Asia, right? And then final part of the relationship is the imperialists, where you have countries like France. France collaborates with the African leaders to make sure that France has access to the resources, the minerals that it needs from the African countries. So that access that is provided to France by the African leaders makes France protect the African leaders. So the only people that do not benefit from the relationship are the African people. So we, the African people, are the only ones that remain perpetually poor and hopeless, right? So when Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger staged their revolution, removed themselves from ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States, formed their own new economic and geopolitical bloc, the AES, they started thriving. They were able to nationalize some of their minerals, some of their uranium, their gold. They were able to start building refineries that are now producing refined gold. And what this does, the entire process has created more jobs for the people of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. It has created more revenue for these people, and now they can start rebuilding their country from scratch. But guess what? They all have a neighbor that has always been perceived as the giant of Africa, even though that's fake. It was back in the days, maybe in the 70s, maybe in the 80s, in the early 80s, that you could consider Nigeria to be the giant of Africa. Right now, Nigeria is the butthole of Africa. We can't be pretending like Nigeria is anything. Okay. I mean, let's look at the actual numbers. Right now, Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. And it has been this way for about 7 years. Nigeria overtook India to become number one position as the country that has the highest number of people living in multi-dimensional poverty. Number two, Nigeria, as it currently stands in 2025 December, Nigeria has the lowest life expectancy in the world at 54 years old. Not even Congo or Sudan, countries that are in active wars, have life expectancies lower than Nigeria. Nigeria is literally at the bottom of the world in terms of life expectancy. What else? The country with the lowest, I'm talking about the lowest living conditions in the world, it's Nigeria. Just go and do your research. Even though Nigeria also doubles as the country with the highest deposit of crude oil and natural gas in Africa, one of the top, Nigerians have the lowest standard of living in the world and the lowest life expectancy and also the poverty capital of the world. So how come the reality of the resources that Nigeria has is not reflecting on the lives of the people? It boils down to the collaborators that are the leaders, the people that always make it to the position of leadership in Nigeria. They are collaborators with imperialists, and their job is to maintain the relationship because it protects them, it protects us, and it also gives the imperialists access to the resources that they need in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Nigerian people keep getting poorer and poorer. And if any Nigerian comes around and starts bragging to you that, hey, we are the giant of Africa, you know what you should tell that person? Tell them, how come you guys did not qualify for a World Cup? You supposedly have 200 million people, but you could not even find 11 people to qualify for the FIFA World Cup. That shows how far Nigeria has gone down the drain in every single aspect of the country, from sports, from security, from basic amenities. Nothing is working in Nigeria. And you see, people like me ranting about Nigeria for a long time. We've ranted so much so that these days we are now chilled about it. It's almost like telling a story, to be honest. Because when I opened this YouTube channel in 2020, about 5 years ago, I opened it because I got sick and tired of how Nigeria became absolutely hopeless, right? And a lot of people are claiming, man, we are sick and tired of Nigeria. We want Nigeria to break up. They are not wrong, because Nigeria is a pest. Nigeria is literally dragging Africa backwards. Now, we don't know the intentions of the Beninois, right? We don't know if these guys, and And it would have been good if we heard from a Beninois to hear uh, uh, their position. The democracy in Nigeria, it's actually more democracy in Nigeria is meant to destroy the lives of the people of Nigeria. So it's not a democracy, it's a democracy that makes people poorer and hopeless, right? But the fact that the democracy is absolutely useless does not mean that a thinking Nigerian will support a military takeover in Nigeria. Why? Because the military institution in Nigeria is just as corrupt as the government, as the fake democratic institution in Nigeria. So we're gonna pretend like Benin Republic is maximizing its potentials. Benin Republic is suffering compared to what it can. They are not doing that bad when it compares to Nigeria because at least they have electricity. They have definitely have better electricity, electricity. An average citizen of Benin Republic, though the Nigerian citizen still thinks they are the giant of Africa, which is just delusional at this point, right? But then, if you're looking at the military, do they have the same intentions at their democratic side, or they were good? No. But let's military guys were all revolutionaries, like the guys in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. So if those guys were revolutionary, which means that trying to get rid of France, Benin Republic for all years, 60 years after independence, continuous process of neocolonialism. Guess what that's the republic? It made it a poor country. It made it hopeless. It made it almost as bad as Nigeria. It's not as bad as Nigeria, but it's almost as bad. A lot of these African countries that are tied through neocolonialism to their former colonial masters, they are all horrible. There is nothing working. These are constantly poor, constantly struggling, constantly billionaires. They have access to republic soldiers who truly revolutionary. Nigeria decided to fly its planes into Benin Republic to bomb the people of Benin Republic because the French government told Tinubu to do that. You know what that makes Nigeria? A backstabber. It makes Nigeria an absolute disgrace. You see, a lot of people are thinking that, man, what's up, Nigeria, man? Why is Nigeria not moving? It's because Nigeria has some of the worst system in the entire world. It's only criminals that are able to get to the help of affairs in Nigeria. Trust me, you don't stand a chance. And let me go to the solution because sometimes when we come around on social media, drop some solutions. The ultimate solution to the problem in Nigeria what it is. It's a revolution. If the Nigerian people, just 20% of Nigerians, can come together and decide that enough is enough, it's time to clean up this government, chase all these thugs away permanently. Chase them away. We no longer want this system. We no longer want this government and the constitution and the judiciary and the executive. We are tired of you guys. It's time for you guys to go. If that can happen through a revolution, because I don't think Nigerians can ever implement a revolution through the ballot box. The ballot box is compromised. Process in 2027. Tinubu is going to rig it again and he's going to win because Tinubu controls everything. He controls the judiciary, the Independent National Electoral Commission, the police, the military. He bribes all the heads of the military guys all the time so that they don't plan to stage a coup. So if Nigerians are still trying to go through the ballot, I don't think it's going to be successful. However, I don't discourage you from trying through the ballot